So James, what game are we playing?
We're playing a really fun game because Acon's recently come into the Cliffs Pavilion, so there's loads of posters about it are all over the town. So every time they see a poster, they punch me.
Do you know this one?
No!
Hey!
This really good. See this building here?
Yeah.
For basically elderly people with some sort of like disability, like disabled stuff. And every now and then you'll see just like black birds just flying around it, like for ages. Look at this, after someone's died, it's like pretty fucked up. It's pretty big. I was there once, like coming down here, 2 o'clock in the morning, and literally all of them just turned, like landing on the wall here. Just pretty fucked up. So that's some sort of mental health. But a bit of stuff in history for that.
Welcome to the vlog, everyone. It's another week. Today we're going back to Peggy Sue's, and this is my Halloween special. So tonight is a very special storytelling night. We're doing all the scary, spooky stories. Should be a good night. Enjoy.
It is apparently the shortest English ghost story on record. So I thought, as I'm known for long stories, I will tell the shortest English ghost story. So, let me set the scene. It's a cold, stormy night. There is a cottage on top of a hill, remote, away from anywhere else. A man lives there on his own. One night, as he lay in his bed, deep, blissful sleep, the most hideous nightmare entered his head, and he awoke in a cold sweat, and as he reached to light the candle by his bed, the matches were placed in his hand. Thank you. That is the short.
Now, far away, we'll say in the land of England, we have a lovely family sitting down to dinner. Well, 2 of them are lovely. Little Thomas is not lovely at dinner time. No, Mum, I don't want this for dinner. I won't eat this. And his mum says, now, dear, this is what I've made for you. This is what you're going to eat. And Mr. Thomas says, now then, none of that. And goes back to reading his paper. That's all he does, but he says, no, I'm not eating that. So he folds his arms, closes his eyes, and holds his breath. I can't hold my breath forever, so you get the idea. And this happens regularly. Every night they have this problem. And one night he's playing up, he's saying, I don't want this, I don't want this. And then they hear a click of the latch at the door. They start to hear footsteps coming down the corridor. So they're saying, now I'll have you know I was in the army. I'm not scared of you. He was petrified. There's behind the door, the kitchen door's closed. Footsteps come and it stops, and they see a shadow under the door. And they're scared, so he's panicking, and picks up a frying pan. Mummy Thomas is behind him. Normal Thomas is just sitting there with his plate of food that he's not eating because he still doesn't want to eat. And they go to the door, they open the door, and there's no one there. That's a bit odd. Come with me, Mummy Thomas. Let's go check it out. So they go out and they go to the door. They go to check the front door, and Thomas is just sitting there. He's sitting down at the table. He's left all alone, and he gets a strange smell comes into the room. The smell of, it's like flour. Flour. You can smell some sort of flour. And then he feels something along his back, like someone scratching his back, but it can't be fingers because they're too thin for fingers. It feels like maybe twigs, but it feels too soft to be twigs. It feels kind of like spaghetti. Like spaghetti is running down his back. and then his hair starts rushing up, and he starts feeling these things all over, and he goes to scream, but there's a mouth, there's a hand over his mouth, and he can't make any noise, he can't do anything. He's panicking, and Mummy and Daddy Thomas come into the room, and it stops, and the smell goes, and that's it. And so Mummy Thomas goes, you know what I think has just happened? This is what Mummy Thomas sounds like. I think we've had a visit from the Spaghetti Man. A few days go past. Doesn't get any better. Little Thomas still not eating his dinner, throwing tantrums. Then one morning, Mummy Thomas snaps. He's sitting there with just a piece of toast and butter. And he says, I don't want toast, I'm not going to eat. He says, no, Thomas, I've had enough. You are going to sit there until you have eaten that bit of toast. And he says, okay, I'll sit here all day long then. And that's what he did. He sat there all day long, and then all night. He sat there all the next day, and all the next night, and he would not eat that bit of toast. To the third day came. And he's still sitting there, arms folded. He's getting hungry now, but he doesn't care. He will not eat that toast. So, Daddy Thomas, now then, I'm off to work. And he leaves, goes about his business. Mummy Thomas, I've got to go do the shopping. I'll see you later. And she goes away. And he's left all alone in the house. And he goes, yes, now's my chance to get some revenge. And he storms up to the bathroom. He turns on both the taps, puts the plug in the sink. He's going to flood the bathroom. That will show them, that will teach them to make me eat my toast. And as he's doing it, steam is filling up, and he hears downstairs, click of the latch at the door. Yes, Mummy's home, now she'll get what's coming to her. Turns the taps to full blast, the water's filling up, steam filling the room. His steps coming up the stairs. See, this is what you get, Mummy, making me eat my toast, he calls. Door behind him to the bathroom opens. And he says, ha ha, and the room is filled with steam, and he spins round. And there's no one there. No Mum, no Dad. Just the smell of flour coming into the room. Thomas woke up later. He was in a dark, dimly lit room. Metal, big machines surrounding him, clunking and clawing away. And then he sees a bench with kids sitting along it. Different types of kids. And each of them had a name tag, but not with a name on it. It had, not with a human name, it had the name of a type of pasta. The tall, gangly kids, sort of like myself, had spaghetti written on them. Short, fat ones had macaroni. And he looked down at his chest and he had a label that said, lasagna. No! I hate lasagna! That's the worst! And he goes, stands up on a plinth and he says, it says to all the other kids, this is just a trick our mummies and daddies play to make us eat our food. I'm going home. And he turns around and he storms towards the door. And as he gets there, the door opens. And out comes a figure. Slimy, greasy, with cheese for hair. He looks down at little Timothy and says, I'm hungry. What are we having for dinner? Back in the house. Dinner time was lovely. It was peaceful. It was quiet. There was no screaming, no tantrums. And Mummy Timothy was happy. So he says, now then, what's for dinner tonight, love? She turns round to the oven and says, tonight, what do you think they're having for dinner?
Pasta.
Lasagna. That's the story of the Spaghetti Man.
It's all the maid, I'll sing a song. Sing rickety-tickety-tin. It's all the maid, I'll sing a song. She didn't keep her very long. Not only did she do them wrong, she did every one of them in. She did every one of them in. Her mother, she could never stand. Sing rickety tickety tin. Her mother, she could never stand. And so, a cyanide soup she planned. Her mother died with a spoon in her hand, and her face in a hideous grin. A grin, and her face in a hideous grin. One morning in a fit of pique, sing rickety tickety tin. One morning in a fit of pique, she drowned her father in the creek. The water tasted foul for a week. And had to make do with gin. Had to make do with gin. She set her sister's hair on fire. Sing rickety tickety tin. She set her sister's hair on fire, and as the flames rose higher and higher, oh, she danced around the funeral pyre, playing a violin, playing a violin. One week she had nothing to do. Sing rickety tickety tin. One week she had nothing to do. So she cut her baby brother in two and served him up as an Irish stew. Invited the neighbours in. And invited the neighbours in. And when at last the police came by, sing rickety tickety tin. And when at last the police came by, a little prank she could not deny. For to do so would be to lie. Lying she knew as a sin, a sin. Lying she knew as a sin.
And there, in the harbour, was a house. And there, at the window, sat a woman. A woman who sat there every night, listening, waiting. And tonight she knew would be the night, for she had heard the wind. She had heard the seagulls, and she had heard the waves whisper to her, tonight, tonight, tonight. And as the lighthouse beam revolved, suddenly there, out to sea, she saw the ship she had waited for so long. Its sails silver in the moonlight, sailing towards home. Not long after she heard the voices of the people, with excitement, for they too had been waiting for this ship for a very long time. She looked out of the window, and there, sure enough, was the hustle and bustle as the people came out of the houses to welcome the ship in. And soon the ship was in harbour, its ropes being tied off and the gangplank being lowered. She waited with bated breath for the first sight of the man she had waited for so long. The son who had gone to sea. There he was, tall and handsome, coming down the gangplank towards home. She lost sight of him as he went through the throng of people, but soon she heard his familiar footsteps coming up towards the house. She ran to the door. "My son, you're home. At last, I have waited. For so long I have waited." The young man came through the door, and he looked around, and he took in the familiar scent of home, that scent of lavender. He went to the room where his mother was sitting, and there, beside her chair, was his chair. The chair he'd sat in so long ago, and he made himself comfortable. It was good to be her. And the lighthouse revolved, and the beam of light that it shone came into the window and lit the familiar room of his youth. He took his tot of rum and he settled back in his chair. The light revealed a tanned and weather-beaten man, no longer a boy, the boy that had left home. I've waited so long. Thank you for coming home. And as his eyes closed, his mother disappeared into the darkness between the beams of the lighthouses revolving.
In fact, the uncle of Herbert. And he'd just been to India on an intense expedition. And that expedition, he found a mysterious talisman, if you will, called the monkey's paw. I like it. Mr. Reed questioned the uncle about this monkey's paw and the powers, and the uncle refused to say anything. He was terrified. He'd seen the horrors in India of what the monkey's paw could do, and he said, "I am here to destroy this." With that, he threw it into the fire, which was in fact a sparkling light of sorts. But he threw it into the fire, and it sparkled and started to ignite the monkey's paw. And Mr. Reed was like, "No, we can't. This is true. This has the power that you tell me about. Oh, we can't destroy it. We need to use it. The things it could do, it could be amazing for us." And the uncle said, "I warn you, destroy that thing now, or you will have untold misery. Everything that you want from the monkey's paw, you will get. But this comes at a price." And he left the house. As soon as he left, the Reeds started joking and laughing about how ridiculous his tales of India and the sort of crazy things that the monkey's paw had done could be. It seemed ridiculous. Mr. Reed grabbed the monkey's paw and did the first wish. "I wish for £200. Gripping it tight, nothing happened. I mean, what would happen? The bag would give him £200, or £200 would fall from the sky? Crazy. So they all went to bed. And the next morning they awoke. And they all went on their usual things. Mr. Reed and Mrs. Reed returned home. And they started making the soup for when Herbert returned. But instead of Herbert coming to the door, there was again 3 knocks. And Mr. Bogdan, Herbert's boss, and the owner of the cook factory came to the door. This was strange, Mr. Reed thought. Why would Mr. Bogdan be here? He answered the door, and Mr. Bogdan said, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Reed. I have some terrible news about your son. But here, take this from me." And he gave Mr. Reed a bag, and again left into the night. Mr. Reed opened the bag, and inside was a letter saying, "Today, at work, there was a terrible accident, and your son, Herbert, perished. But here is £200 as compensation for the loss." Well, Mr. Reed and Mrs. Reed were horrified. They just started crying and screaming at the monkey's paw and saying how they should have destroyed it. It was, of course, the fault of the monkey's paw. She locked it away in a drawer, and they tried to continue with their lives. They had the funeral. They told all the other family members about what happened to Herbert. A few months passed, and eventually they sort of They got back to how they were before. Then Mr. Reed had an idea. He took the monkey's paw from the drawer, and he'd been thinking about Herbert all this time, and he wished that one day he could see his son again. He wanted his son back in his life. And again, he put the monkey's paw away. And again, nothing happened, because what would happen? The sun would suddenly appear from the bag. Crazy, but he wished it. And they went to sleep. And the next morning, he told Mrs. Reed what they'd done, and Mrs. Reed was horrified. What have you done? You know what the monkey's paw did the first time. Why, you brought so much misery to our life. Just unwish it. I don't know how, but unwish it. And again, as all these things come in threes, there were 3 knocks on the door. Mrs. Reed instantly worked out what was going on. Don't answer it. Please, whatever you do, don't answer it. Mr. Reed was like, I need to. I need to see him. He ran down the stairs. And as he got to the door, Mrs. Reed was fiddling about with the drawers, and she got the monkey's paw. And she made a wish as well, the final wish. Because, as always, you only get 3 wishes. And she put the monkey's paw, begging, hoping that her wish would come true. And as Mr. Reed opened the door, there was nothing there. Just a silent road and a street light in the distance. Their son was gone forever.
And that brings an end to the evening. Thank you all for watching. We're now...
You're welcome!
So, yeah, that's been tonight. I hope you've enjoyed that. I've probably made this into 2 vlogs just because some of the stories were a bit longer this week. Tune in next time. Hopefully there'll be some more stories. Who knows? See you later. Bye. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.